All right, hello everybody. This is Robert with the Space Coast Rocket. Um, it's been a long day today. Um, we had a press conference early. I'm sure most of everyone saw that at the Brevard Public Schools District today with Vice Chair Matt Susan, and that press conference was related to the news that we broke yesterday about Carly Anderson's body cam footage from the teen house party that she had at her boss's house, Hill Brodigan, where both of the principal and the teacher, Carly Anderson, were arrested for participating in that house party with those teenagers that involved alcohol, it involved guns, it involved marijuana, fights, all kinds of things, according to the Cocoa Beach Police Department and the state attorney's office. Um, on Friday, we broke the news that Carly was going to be returned to the classroom, but not at Roosevelt where she was teaching, but at Saturn Elementary School, which is a Title I school in Cocoa. We broke that news. It was a surprise to us when we received that information. We had to triple check it. I had to make sure that there wasn't some other Carly Anderson that I wasn't aware of, because I couldn't fathom how that was possible, that this individual was being returned not only back to work but back to the classroom around kids with these charges. Now, her charges were reduced from a felony to two misdemeanor charges on April Fool's Day, April 1st. Um, According to Matt Susan and the school district, that's the reason why she was allowed to go back to work. But we're going to get into that a little bit more in a minute. But during that press conference today, Matt Susan is the vice chair. He used to be the chair. He was the vice chair. The chair of the school board is supposed to be the spokesperson that speaks on behalf of the school board. That individual is Gene Trent. He was not the one who held this press conference today, and I think there's some reasons behind that that we're also going to get into in a minute. But Matt Susan held this press conference today, and it was a disaster. Um, what I can tell you, and I don't say this lightly, Matt Susan is a liar. If Matt Susan is talking, he's usually lying. And I'm not just saying that because I have something against the guy or I don't like the guy. This is verifiably true information, and I'm going to show you how it's true. He talks vomiting from the mouth, and the more he talks, it's because he's trying to fabricate the lie in real time. And I think that this individual believes that the more he talks, the more convincing it is what he's saying. And it's just not true. It just means he's lying more. I'm going to show you exactly how. So we had this press conference today. He tried to exclude us from the press conference. He tried to have the press come and speak to him individually. Thankfully, the press pool that was there didn't want to conform to that, so we had the press conference the way that we did. He didn't want to answer any of our questions. There's a reason he doesn't want to answer our questions, because we ask tough questions that he doesn't want to answer, because more than often than not, they're going to contradict whatever it is that he has to say. And that was the case today. So we had a problem with our live feed audio, but fortunately Fox 35 was also broadcasting, and they picked up most of it. And you can hear him trying to talk over me while I'm asking questions to try to obstruct me from asking those questions. So again, for those that are just joining us, this is about the press conference that was held today by Vice Chair of BPS School Board, Matt Susan, in regarding to Carly Anderson going back to work. Now, when she went back to work on Monday, there was a small protest of students and I think one or two parents out there that didn't want this individual at their school, especially teaching their children, understandably so, and they were upset. The school board didn't know about this before I did. I found out before the school board did. And you'll hear Matt Susan admit that they didn't find out until Friday evening. And they probably found out after I published the article early Friday afternoon. And that's because this was trying to be done behind the scenes by the superintendent and by one school board member, Gene Trent. We reported from the very beginning that these two individuals, the principal and the teacher that were arrested, are friends with the school board chair, Gene Trent, and also with the superintendent, Dr. Mark Rendell. Rendell came from Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High School. He was the principal there after he was let go from Indian River County as their superintendent. That's also where Gene Trent came from. He was a test moderator or something like that at Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High School. And then he was suspended after we wrote an article about him lying about his teacher application. He lied about his criminal history and his arrest on his teacher application. And he was suspended from being employable by Brevard Public Schools for 1 year. That also came out to be true after we were told it wasn't. But they are friends with each other. Gene Trent is the one who recommended Dr. Rendell for the superintendent position, and they're trying to take care of each other, and they're trying to take care of their own. Now, when they had the press conference today, I'm going to try and share the screen with the video from some clips from the press conference, but almost every single thing that Matt Susin said today was a lie. He said that they didn't have the access to the police report before. That's a lie. I'm not going to show you it's a lie. He said that they're starting an investigation. They've already had an investigation. There's a whole bunch of everything he says is a lie. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to try to share my screen here with this video and just break it down to how what he said is just categorically false. So let's try this.
Have an investigation to see if that individual was a part of the actual party and move from there.
Okay, so he said we're going to have an investigation to see if that individual was a part of the party. All right. Now, in the arrest affidavit, it says the defendant told Corporal Brown that she was hanging out at the party. This is in the arrest affidavit that's been available since the middle of September, since September 21st. It says it right there. I'm not sure what he's investigating, but it's right there. And also, in the body cam footage that we released yesterday, she says it herself. I was hanging out at this party. So he says he's going to have an investigation to find out if she was at the party and she was there.
We had no idea. So
let me back this up.
We had no idea. So yesterday, I didn't get to see the actual footage until late last night.
Okay, so what he says right here, the question was, were you guys not aware that there was body cam footage? He said they had no idea. Let me play it again just to make sure we got that right. Let's play that one more time.
We had no idea. So yes.
We had no idea there was body cam footage. Well, everybody else had an idea, because repeatedly in both this arrest affidavit and in the other individual's affidavit, it states all throughout it, Corporal Brown stated in his body cam footage that between the angry and calm multiple times, could smell the odor of alcoholic beverage. All throughout this arrest affidavit, it talks about what was captured on their body cam footage. So I knew there was body cam footage. Everybody that knows Cocoa Beach knows Cocoa Beach Police wears body cameras. So for him to say that they had no idea that there was body cam footage, I don't know what else to say about that. They knew that there was body cam footage because it says there's body cam footage. That's why we knew to request it. So let's go back to his comments.
I didn't get to see the actual footage until late last night. Some of the news channels had put it out. I watched a little bit of it, and then immediately this morning went into full action. But I'll be honest with you.
I'm gonna stop it right there. Whenever Matt Susin starts a sentence with, "I'll be honest with you," he's not going to be honest with you. I can guarantee you whatever the next sentence that comes out of his mouth is going to be a lie. So he starts this out with, "I'll be honest with you." So let's see what the lie is going to be.
We did not have any of the investigative reporting or anything like that from Cocoa Beach at all.
He says, we did not have any of the investigative reporting from Cocoa Beach at all. Now, again, this is publicly available information. This was national news. Everybody has access to this information by going to the Brevard County Clerk of Court's website. Everyone knows that. You just go onto the Brevard County Clerk of Court's website, type in the name Carly Anderson, hit return, and there it is, the readily available Cocoa Beach police report. But if that's not good enough to say that he didn't have access, or the district didn't have access to this readily available public document, and they conducted an investigation, how did they conduct an investigation based off of what? Because according to the vice chair of the school board, Matt Susin, they had no documents. He said they didn't have the police report from Cocoa Beach. So what were they using to investigate? What did they use to put this individual, to justify putting these individuals on leave other than their arrest? Did they not ask for the arrest report? But just to dispel it even further, he says we, and he's speaking on behalf of the school board. So you may remember this video. Back when this happened, the school board chair, Gene Trent, made national news when him in all his wisdom said that this was no big deal. This was being blown out of proportion. This happens all the time. Those were his words, and I'm gonna play them for you. Don't take my word for it. Here it is.
Hill Brodigan and third grade teacher Carly Anderson were both arrested for allegedly hosting and attending a drunken house party with almost 200 students at the principal's own home.
This isn't anything new. I mean, when we have thousands of employees, things happen.
I spoke with the school board chair.
He said this isn't anything new. Why is he taking such a nonchalant position on this as a school board chair? It's because it's his friends that we're talking about. This is his friends. He's trying to cover for his friends. Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High School and Roosevelt Elementary are literally right next door to each other, just like Vieira High School and Vieira Middle School. Oh, we're going to talk about them today too after this. But they're literally right next door to each other. But this is the school board chair saying that what you saw on that body cam footage, no big deal, happens all the time, according to school board chair Gene Trent. So let's hear what else he has to say.
Gene Trent today to ask him about how the district is handling the arrests. He says BPS did the right thing, placing both staff members on leave until the investigation is over. But he also told us he doesn't think these arrests should be making headlines.
He says these arrests should not be making headlines. Now, that's a little bit different than what Matt Susin had to say today. Today, Matt Susin was, this is deplorable. This is the worst thing I've seen since Armageddon. That's nobody wants anything to do with it now that the video camera is out there, now that we released that. Yes, this will be available as soon as this broadcast is over. But remember, we started this video right here based off the fact that Matt Susin said that these public documents, these public police reports were not available to them, to the school board. He's lying, and here he is.
I've read the police report, and it seems that it was a teenage party.
He said he read the what? The police report. How was that possible? Because he did this interview back in September. What's today? Today's April 15th. How did Gene Trent read the police report? Because according to the vice chair, Matt Susin, they never had access to it. Let me just make sure I heard that right. Let's go back. Let's make sure we heard it right.
Drop the charges. No.
Let's see.
From Cocoa Beach at all. Honest with you.
Yeah, that's right. He said, "I'm going to be honest with you." I just love that part. But what did he say?
We did not have any of the investigative reporting or anything like that from Cocoa Beach at all. We were just going off the state attorney that dropped the charges.
So, I mean, I don't know how much clearer to make that. It's just a blatant lie. He's just trying to pass the buck. What he's trying to do is throw the superintendent under the bus at this point, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But it's just patently false that they didn't have access to these police reports and these court documents because they're publicly available. And by the way, they could have just requested them if they weren't publicly available. It's unfathomable to me. But let's hear what else he has to be honest about.
There'll be an investigation into two things. One, if you watch the body cam footage, she inhibits law enforcement from actually helping one of our students. That is something that we need to look at. You cannot get in between law enforcement and one of our children. That is unacceptable. The other
He says these are the things that they're just now finding out from the body cam footage. So he's saying that from this body cam footage, he found out that she was interfering, with the treatment of this child. When this Carly comes running up when they're putting the child or taking the child out of the machine, that's she calls it, but it's an ambulance. They're taking them out of the ambulance and putting them into the back of the police car. Now, what you might not have realized is a lot of the video that you're looking at is redacted. The video that we published came from the state attorney's office, and there's a lot of it that is not there for privacy purposes. So there's some information that's going to be left out, but it is stated in the arrest affidavit. So he's saying that they're just now finding out that she was interfering with the treatment of this child, but it's in the police report. That's what she was arrested for. That's why she was arrested. So I don't understand what he means when they're saying they're just finding out, and now they're going, not only they're just finding out, but he's going to launch an investigation into whether or not she interfered with this the treatment of this child. She did. It's in the police report. She began to walk up and berate the Brevard County Fire Rescue. Corporal Brown approached the defendant as she was yelling at the Brevard County Fire Rescue. That's her interfering with the treatment of that patient, of that teenager who was so intoxicated that he had to be medically attended to because he was convulsing and throwing up in the front yard of this principal's house that threw this party. But let's see what else he said he's going to launch an investigation to.
We're going to look into the fact that she made a public statement that was on the body cam that she was inside of that party, and that's unacceptable.
She made a public statement that she was inside the party. We just found this out. This is brand new information that we just got from the body cam footage. No, it's not. That's a lie. Because right here in the publicly available police report back from September, the defendant then told Corporal Brown that she was hanging out at the party while pointing at Elizabeth Hill Brodigan's house, which is where that body cam footage was taken in her front yard. Corporal Brown then told the defendant there were 200 kids at the residence drinking. The defendant interrupted the corporal and yelled she already knew that. Why did she know that? Because she was there. This is information that was all available back in September. This is the information that was the foundation for her arrest. But now here in April, when they decide to put her back into the classroom, they just found out all this information when we released the body cam footage yesterday. It's a lie. It's been there the entire time. Now it's just irrefutable. They can't deny it. And that's why they tried to make this move behind the scenes, hoping that nobody would notice it and put her in this Title I school where parents might not be able to speak back against it, not knowing what's going on. But we brought it to light, and now they're trying to do damage control. And he's just coming out and doing a press conference and lying with every single breath. Let's see what else he has to be honest about.
We will be looking at those two and any other infractions that you may have that may come out because of that.
A lot of the information
Anybody else have any?
So what you see here, what's going to happen now is I'm at this press conference and I'm about to ask him that exact question. The question I'm about to ask him is, everything that's in that body cam footage was in the arrest affidavit. So what are you talking about that you just found out all this information because you saw the body cam footage? Now, keep in mind, they could have also requested the body cam footage. So when they said they've done an investigation, I don't know who this person is or what organization is doing this investigation, but they didn't request the body cam footage. I know because I requested it. And when I requested it, I asked if anyone else had, and the answer was no from the Cocoa Beach Police Department. So they hadn't even asked for the body cam footage. So I don't know the diligence of this so-called investigation that they said they're doing, but they put her back in the classroom with children while she has these pending charges with crimes against children. So while I'm asking this question, he then decides that he's just going to talk over me and try to obstruct my First Amendment rights, the freedom of the press, to ask these questions. So that's what you hear him doing right here, is trying to talk over me this entire time.
Any other pictures, questions?
A lot of the information that came out.
Questions, anybody?
Body cam footage.
We good? Everybody good?
Also depicted in
All right.
the arrest affidavit.
You got anything?
With
Go
the
ahead.
arrest affidavit
What do you got?
lining up with the
Go
body
ahead.
cam footage. What's the difference?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, I'm looking at some of your questions. Someone said, "What are the crimes against children?" Let me get into that. So she was originally arrested for child neglect without great bodily harm. That's a felony, a third-degree felony. And she was arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Those were the first two charges that she was arrested for. Those charges were reduced. So, excuse me. She's now been charged with breach of the peace, disorderly conduct, and she's been charged with, now some of the press has been saying this not correct, I won't say incorrectly, but not completely. She's charged with disorderly intoxication, endangering safety. So that's a qualifier for that charge. You can have disorderly intoxication, but there's different levels of disorderly intoxication. Hers is disorderly intoxication, endangering safety. Endangering whose safety? That child's safety that she was interfering with the Brevard County Fire Rescue trying to attend for this kid who's got borderline alcohol poisoning probably. So those are the crimes against children. Now with those pending crimes, with the disorderly intoxication, endangering safety, they decided it was good to put her back into the classroom with children, not on some administrative job behind the scenes or answering phones, back into the classroom teaching children. That was the decision made by this district. All right, so he tries to stop me from asking the questions, and then there's another question asked. Let's hear it.
Personnel decisions are all made by the superintendent. But the fact is that our school board was notified last week on Friday evening. And then
So he's trying to say, he says the personnel decisions are all made by the superintendent. It's not true. He authorizes the personnel decisions, and he does make personnel decisions at some levels without the school board's knowledge or approval. But clearly, the school board is involved in many personnel decisions. The most frequent, or the most recent infamous one, was with the former school board member Jennifer Jenkins when she applied to the opening for the speech language pathologist position at one of the, I think it was Ocean Breeze or Oceanside Elementary School, which they've had a shortage of. They have, I think, like 10 openings in the district, and they refused to hire her because of her political positions that she displayed while she was on the board, and they felt like she would be a distraction if she was hired. I guess this isn't a distraction. I guess this teacher with this house party, that's not a distraction. We can put her back into the classroom. But children are not getting the therapy that they need for speech language pathology because that Jennifer Jenkins might be too much of a distraction to go work. And it was just for a few weeks. I think it was just for 6 weeks or so. She was filling in for someone that was going on maternity leave. They felt that she filling into that much needed position was too much of a distraction. But this teacher, not a distraction at all, just national news. Okay, so let's see what else he had to say.
we were told, and then that this individual would be coming back, and that the state attorney's office had dropped the charges from felony to misdemeanor, which is in line with everything else.
So the school board makes a personnel decision.
Anybody else got any other things?
That's him trying to interrupt me again.
I just said that the school board does not make the personnel decisions, the school district makes them, but we support the superintendent. We do not accept any of this kind of behavior, and that is why we are launching a full-on investigation now that we actually have, for the first time, evidence of what we're looking for.
So what is he talking about? For the first time, we have evidence. We're launching an investigation. So what you're saying is you didn't have enough information to make a personnel decision of whether or not this person who was charged with a felony for child neglect and contributing to the delinquency of a minor, you didn't have enough information to conduct a full-on investigation, but you decided to put her back in a classroom with some elementary school children. You entrusted her with the safety of those children, but you didn't have that information until Robert Burns released the body cam footage yesterday. Who believes that?
We will be interviewing all the interviewees that went through the entire other investigation.
We're going to interview everybody that went through the other investigation. What are you investigating? The investigation's over. The woman's been charged. She's out on bond. What is the new investigation? You said you're investigating two things. You're investigating whether or not she was at the party. She told you she was at the party. The police told you she was at the party. You're investigating whether she interfered with the treatment of the child. You just said she did. You said she did because you saw it on the video, and she also did because it says that she did it in the police report. What are you investigating? The investigation already happened. They're trying to act like they got some brand new information. This is brand new stuff. So that's why we removed her from the classroom today, because we just found all that stuff out. It's just a flat out lie. He should have never did this press conference. They hate it when he does these press conferences, but he can't. He puts on the one suit that he has and gets in front of the camera, and it just makes it 10 times worse for everybody at that district. Well, let's hear what else he has to be honest about.
Combing through everything that we need. We now have, for the first time, our information that we can launch that investigation.
Yeah, for the first time.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, and then that's him ignoring me again, because I asked why Saturn, why did you pick Saturn Elementary? So that's what you have. You had him put this press conference on. He pretended like they just found out all this information. That body cam footage didn't give you any new information. All of that information, everything that was happened in that body cam footage was in the original police report, the publicly available police report since September. They're just trying to cover their butts now because we put out the body cam footage and they can't get away from it. It's undeniable. It's undeniable. So anyway, but that wasn't it. I didn't let that go because you're not going to step on my rights. So I wrote him a little letter today, letting them know that, hey, I'm going to give them an out. I'm going to give them a pass today, but you're not going to be stepping on my First Amendment rights, obstructing my freedom of the press when I'm trying to ask you questions. If you don't want to answer my questions, I understand. You don't have to answer them, but you're not going to stop me from asking them. You're not going to try to inhibit my speech because that will result in a lawsuit. And if anybody knows, I don't have a problem protecting and fighting for my rights or anybody else's rights. So that's what happened. That's what happened today. We put out the body cam footage yesterday. You can find that on there. We got to that press conference he tried to keep us out of, still got the information out there, and showed you that everything that he said was just a flat out lie. We'll get the truth. We'll find out what's really going on. Let's see. After that, when I got home, I got a bunch of messages about, the Vieira High School math teacher. We had a Vieira High School math teacher. His name's Samuel Davison, was arrested for the second time in less than 2 years for felony domestic violence with strangulation. As Vieira High School math teacher arrested yesterday. So we put that out today. I don't know if Matt's going to have a press conference about that one. But if you're watching, and I know you are, that is publicly available. You can go on the clerk of court's website and type his name in and you'll find it. I'll help you out on that one. But yes, he's been arrested for the second time for domestic violence, and still he was still teaching children at Vieira High School. There's another incident that has been floating around on some of the Facebook pages about there was a teacher that was escorted off the property of Vieira Middle School. I'm not going to say his name because I can't verify this information yet, but according to some parents and students, the person was escorted out of the classroom for being a registered sex offender. We haven't been able to verify that. There's a lot of reasons why those records may or may not be available, but we will find out. We're going to find out. We sent messages to the school district. We haven't got a response back yet, but we have some other people looking into that information as well, and we'll find out the truth about that situation. So I've gotten your message, and I appreciate you guys sending that to me. But other than that, just wanted to make sure that you guys got that information. I'm not going to let them continue to lie to you guys straight on the camera without checking them. So every time they do it, every time they lie or they start showing some hypocrisy, I'm going to call them out. I'm keep doing it like this too, because clearly they don't want me asking the questions at the press conference in real time. So we'll just do it like this. Let me see if there's any other questions in here real quick. 24 students that got suspended at Space Coast High School. I'm not aware about that. I know about the students at Satellite High School with the walkout from last week. Some of those students got defended. I guess I'll talk about that for a second. Let's talk about Miss Melissa Calhoun. Another national story. This school board is very good at making national headlines for the wrong reasons. One of the things I want to make clear that I think is being misunderstood is this case with Miss Calhoun has nothing to do with pronouns. I know when people see the word preferred, a lot of times you think, almost unconsciously, subconsciously, pronouns. It's not about using pronouns. This was about preferred name. Everyone remembers at the beginning of the school year, you got a permission slip to sign if your kid goes by a nickname other than their legal name. When I was in high school, I went by Bobby. Nobody called me Robert. I went by Bobby. But if I wanted to go by Bobby now, if I was a student, there would have to be a signed permission slip from my parents for whatever reason. I just can't say I want my teacher to call me Bobby. That's what's happening in this case. Now, in this particular case, this student wants to be called a name that is not traditionally assigned to her gender or their gender. That doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with the policy, the rule, or the law. It's about using a name other than the legal name. Now, that may be the reason why it's being enforced in this particular situation, but it has nothing to do with the law. Now, the reason I did this video a couple of days ago with Megan Wright, with that teacher that was supposed to be fired for using or for violating the drug policy, is because the drug policy dictates that when there's a positive result, that it requires that the employee be terminated. This employee, there was a picture sent in of her using illegal drugs based off of what's seen in the picture. Based off of that picture being sent in, they had reasonable suspicion to believe that she needed to have a drug test, because Brevard Public Schools is federally funded and they're required to have a drug-free workplace. When you refuse to adhere to the drug test, to take the drug test, it is the equivalent of a positive drug test. That's almost with every organization I've ever heard of. If you refuse the drug test, it's counted as a positive. Since it's counted as a positive, then you're supposed to be fired. So when they brought this individual before the school board to make that personnel decision, remember Matt Susin said only the superintendent makes personnel decisions. No, the school board gets to vote on it. So the school board voted against terminating the individual. They broke their own policy, even after being reminded again and again and again, hey, your policy says this person has to be fired. Well, if you watch the whole video, they go through some amazing acrobatic maneuvers to find out a way to not fire this individual for whatever reason, and put this person who may be abusing drugs, we don't know because she refused the drug test, and they put her back in the classroom. Much like what you see with this person that they put back in the classroom yesterday with these pending charges. This person's out on bond, back in the classroom with children. They put this teacher who refused the drug test back in the classroom with children. So that policy said that that teacher had to be terminated. They decided to go against that policy and not terminate her. But with Ms. Calhoun, the policy doesn't dictate what the consequences have to be. That is up to the district and the school board. They've decided that they're going to effectively fire her by not renewing her contract at the end of the school year, which is in 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. So that's the same as effectively fired. She's not going to be renewed. Her contract won't be renewed. She won't be a teacher for Brevard Public Schools next year. And that's not the end of it. They've also reported her to the state Department of Education, and they're going after her teacher certification, which means she would never be able to get another job in the state of Florida with the public school system, because unlike charter schools and private schools, the public schools require that you be certified as a teacher. So this teacher has been a highly effective teacher for nearly 12 years. She's got nothing but great things. Students and parents have nothing but great things to say about her. She's a very tough teacher. I believe she teaches AP. Very smart individual, very successful teacher. Students love her, not because she's easy, but because she's good and she cares about them. They're going to deprive Brevard Public Schools of having this teacher teaching students in the future, because she decided to call this person by the name that they've been being called since the 8th grade. This person graduates in a couple of weeks. She's in dual enrollment, graduates in a couple of weeks, been going by this name for the last 4 years. This teacher decided to respect that. Now, she did violate the policy. There's no question about that. She admits that she violated the policy, and there probably should be consequences for it. But should those consequences be that she's effectively fired and that she has her teacher certification revoked so that she can't teach anymore? I would say that's probably not the right path to go, especially when you just let someone who is probably abusing drugs back into the classroom, didn't go after her teacher certification. And then you got somebody out on bond with charges of endangerment and disorderly intoxication and child neglect and contributing to the delinquency of minors. She put her back in the classroom. Are they going after her teacher certification? I don't know. But there's a lot of inconsistency there. And I think I know why. I think most people know why. It's because of the background of the premise of why these things are happening. But we'll see how it plays out. We're going to keep trying to report it. We're going to keep trying to give you guys the information about what's going on, the truth about what's going on, not what you're hearing from Matt Susin or Gene Trent or what anybody else has to say. You know, some of the board members are very consistent. You know, they stick strictly to the policy. If you go back and watch that video with the teacher that was abusing drugs, that teacher was voted to stay on the board on the school district 3-2. The people who voted for firing her were Jennifer Jenkins and Katie Campbell. They were the two most senior members on the board and have been dealing with these administrative issues for quite some time. And it's not always an easy decision to make, and you can't be emotional about it, but you got to stick to your policy. That's why they're there. That school board violated their own policy and tried to justify doing it for whatever reason. But Katie Campbell and Jennifer Jenkins kept reminding them, along with the superintendent at the time, not this superintendent, but the interim superintendent reminded them that that was their policy, that teacher had to be terminated. Just be consistent. If you got a policy, stick to the policy. Don't change it because of your own political or personal or religious beliefs. You got a policy, you got to put that stuff aside and stick to the policies that you've implemented and be fair. Otherwise, you're going to end up with lawsuits, you're going to end up with protests, you're going to end up with a video of the Space Coast rocket showing everybody that you just straight out lie to the people who entrusted you with the public trust. So that's what I got. Any other questions on here? Let's see. Yeah, not a word about coaches. Yeah, it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing when I said the thing about coaches. Anybody who's played football, basketball, or any other sports know your coach has got all kinds of nicknames for you. Can't use them. It's against the law. It's against the law. All those teachers, all those coaches, you know, coaches are usually teachers, got to be fired now. They got to go after their teacher certification, because I guarantee you, nobody filled out a form to say, "Hey, Tiger, you can call my kid Tiger." You know, coaches say that and call you all other kinds of stuff I can't mention on here either. I can mention it, but I'm not going to mention it. But that's how ridiculous some of this stuff is getting right now. All right. But that's all right. So I've been talking long enough. I appreciate you guys. If you like me doing this kind of a video, you know, I'll do more of them more often. It's been a long day today. But if you guys have any other questions, put them in the comments or shoot me a message. Look, I get a lot of messages. There's a whole lot of things that we're looking into. It takes time to look into these things. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking into 5 or 6, 7 different things at the same time. So I appreciate you guys sending the messages, sending the information. That's what gives us the initiative to go start looking into it. So keep doing it. Just give us some time to do it. We have to do our due diligence to make sure we put out the right information. Because people want to sue us. Believe me, Space Coast Daily tried to sue us too. They lost. Everyone loses because we're making sure that we put the stuff out. We're putting it out accurately. So, all right. Thank you for all you guys do. Stay safe tomorrow. Be careful on 95. I don't want to report any accidents. That's it. This is Robert, Space Coast Rocket. We'll keep you informed and have a great night.
Hey, this is Jerry with On Point Wildlife Removal. If you think you might have critters in your attic like squirrels, bats, rats, or raccoons, give us a call today. We'll come out, we'll take a look, and give you a free quote to get them out, to seal up your home, and clean up whatever mess they left behind. We're locally owned and operated, and we're fully licensed and insured.